Welcome Strategy Battle Gamers to another GBHL YouTube channel video. You're here with your channel host GBHL James
and GBHL Jamie, and it's our tournament review for East Grinstead Wargamers, the best event ever, part 2.
Beep 2, as I was calling it.
Beep 2. Oh.
That was my hashtag for it, Beep 2, which I thought was rather clever.
Didn't catch on.
It didn't catch on, apart from when obviously I was talking about it.
You were constantly saying it.
Yes, I was. So this is Sam Page's tournament.
Yeah.
And was it his third of the year?
Yes, it was East Grinstead's third. They had the best event ever tribute middle of the year, and the best event ever at the very beginning.
Part 1.
Yep.
So where should we start?
Let's start with what the scenarios were and what the size forces were and what our armies were, I guess is the best place to start.
Was indeed. So it was a very similar format to the last best event ever.
The tribute. That was it's 750 points of one force, good or evil, and your two most expensive models had to equal or beat 250 points.
Which is a really interesting premise. And it allows people to use...
Mr. Damien O'Byrne, who benefits massively by having Saruman and Thryden as equally over that. And it also stops Legolas and Gladriel being a combo.
Of course it does, yeah. It's probably
Thanks, Damien.
Probably quite a good one for Damien. Yeah. Really, but it's an interesting premise. It allows people to bring out the big toys, really, without making the games too slow.
Yeah.
At 750 points, you know, with masses and masses of models. Now, the scenarios for this one, there were 5 across the course of the day. These are one-day events. And we started off with Warganation, which is the custom scenario. It then went Domination.
Yeah.
The third game
Lords of Battle.
Was Lords of Battle.
Then it was Hold Ground.
Fourth game was Hold Ground, and the final one was To the Death.
Yeah.
So quite a good kind of spread of
mix, yeah.
Yeah, a really, really good spread of scenarios. So going into this tournament, what was your thinking?
My thinking was I'm going to take the Woes Elves, and for my two most expensive I would take Legolas with horse and elven cloak and armour. I'll give him the horse to get a bit more killing power and mobility, and also get him out of tricky spots if I need to. And for my second model to go over the 250 threshold was Gandalf the Grey on Shadowfax from the Fellowship list.
Which is the first time you've had a chance to use that model as well.
It was, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so of course we'll talk a little bit more about how he got on later on. And in terms of expectations, what did you hope to get from this tournament?
Well, for me now, if it's coming to the end of the league, to really increase my score, I need to win a tournament to gain any league points.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
Of value.
And I went into a similar situation where I'd just been recently pipped.
You've been pipped, haven't you?
At stop. It's thanks to our Stockport events.
I know.
That's the most annoying
so
thing.
Annoying. We're like hamstringing ourselves.
Well, we are. We're
running big events.
And
maybe we should limit the number of tickets now.
Well, as a result, the lovely Alistair has overtaken me with his eagles.
Lovely.
Yeah. Now he was supposed to be bringing a fiefdom's army to this one. That was never going to happen.
Oh, there's going to be no eagles in the force.
Yeah. No, but he has overtaken me in the league, so he's actually bumped me down to 5th. Ooh. So I knew going into this tournament, based on the fact that it was 22 players, that I needed to come above 3rd to improve my score. I improved my score at 4th and 5th, but I needed to come 3rd to go up.
To regain your place, yeah.
That's right, and I was really keen. Last time I actually took my 600 point force and then effectively added Guahir on it.
Yeah, it didn't do too well, did it? It did do well.
Yeah,
it did well.
I came 5th.
Guahir wasn't worth the investment.
No, it was like playing my 650 points with a 125 point handicap, yeah. Which I still did alright with. But he massively let me down. So my thinking this time was I love the all-mounted force, and so I actually created a force that had, you know, the heroes that I wanted. So
yeah.
Aemon the Pelennor, Erkenbrand, Eowyn, and then I wanted just loads and loads of riders, Sons of Ale. I had to paint up an extra Son of Ale for this, yeah. 2 extra ones, and my Outriders, and of course the banner for the last scenario.
Yeah.
And To the Death. And then my addition on that was a model which, 1, I love in terms of how it looks, number 2, I've played with it before and is great fun, and also it helps with my force as well because of the Fight 6 and all of the might.
Yep.
I took Boromir of Gondor.
Of Gondor? This is the key bit.
Of Gondor. This is the one who's got no fate.
And 1 will.
1 will, which is a problem. Yeah. And defense 6. Which does mean that he is quite soft. He's like a hand grenade, isn't he?
Yeah, you throw him in, he's got just heroic combat, a couple of 2 turns or so, and just do as much damage as he possibly can.
Now I have to say, when I saw how the scenario is laid out, and the fact that it's a one-day event helps me as well.
Yeah.
I did think I could win it. I honestly did. So even with all that bravado talking before,
Yeah.
I actually did think I had a chance. Maybe I did win it. Nobody knows. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the Facebook group.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I didn't win it. I thought I had a chance.
Yeah.
And with the scenario seemed to sort of suit me. Yeah. So really like this event. Love the setup, it being in a pub. There was an announcement, wasn't there?
There was an announcement a couple of days beforehand saying that the pub were having a function straight after our event, or Sam's event, sorry, and that we'd need to cut the games down to 1 hour and 40, and then they pushed him a bit more to go to 6:30. He said, I can't do 6:30, that kills the tournament basically. So he had to implement dice down as the time's up, dice down, we need to get on sort of thing, which he had to do. So there's no...
No, he had to do that. Now that's something that a lot of people are obviously really against, but it was out of his control. And we'll probably discuss a little bit more about how that worked and didn't work later on in the review. So let's go on to our first game. So the first game was Warganation. Now I like Warganation because I beat Ed Ball and his Felby say.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting thing. Like Sam does the live draw, doesn't he?
Yes, this is key to bring up actually.
Yeah. So Sam does a live draw, so you know who you're playing in the first game before you even go into the tournament. And obviously the first name that was drawn out is Ed Ball.
And I was like, oh no, it's going to be my 4th time playing him in the first game.
You're like, okay, right, so Ed's been drawn first, that's good because now it's the biggest possible pool of people that I can have to not play Ed. And what name was drawn out? Damien O'Byrne! And I kind of went a bit loopy in the house, went a bit crazy.
Yeah, you must have been happy.
That's first and second, who are above me in the league, playing each other, one of them should lose.
You must have been really happy with that.
Yeah. And also that knowing who you're playing first can, especially in that case, can influence what force you take.
Yeah, which is a really key point, especially with the scenario being Warganation, because then you've got players in a sticky situation. And I have to say, especially Ed, because Ed in that situation, he knows that he can lose Warganation.
To the Ferals, yeah.
Yeah, he knows he can lose them because of the scenario. I mean, he's lost to the rope hand in it, and not because he wasn't doing well against me, because he was battering me. Yeah. But because of the scenario. So it is an interesting premise because it does allow for tailoring
to someone.
And then the question becomes, what will Ed bring?
Yeah. So we were thinking maybe fell beasts, maybe hobbits.
Yeah.
Maybe pulled it out the bag and brought Saruman the White, Gandalf the White on their horses, and Rivendell Knight Captain and 12 Rivendell Knights.
So very much tailored for the scenario.
Yeah.
Knowing that he was playing against
Damien.
Yeah. However, GBHL Damien took it.
Yep, GBHL Jamie took his tried and tested force that is perfect for this scenario, this army build, and he won the scenario for that one. So a win for Damien, a loss for Ed by the first game.
And it was. And how did you go?
I played against Chris Dan, and as I put down my Wood Elves across the table, put down a incredibly similar Wood Elf list.
Yeah, he's a fan of the channel. He's a big fan of the channel.
He's wearing his channel t-shirt when he was there.
He certainly was, and looking great in it. And he was attending East Grinstead because of the channel.
Yeah. Which
is really good to see, because that's obviously one of the big reasons why we're here.
So I put down, obviously I've got Gandalf, Legolas my leader, Ramil and Garn. In Chris's force he had Legolas on horse, Gandalf, Thranduil, and I think that was it. Just those 3 heroes.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe a Stormcaller. No, there wasn't a Stormcaller. Those 3 heroes. Oh, he had Ramil as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was Garn and Thranduil with a changeover, and he had a few less models.
Yeah.
We both had a banner, we both had sentinels, and it was fun like, oh, we're playing the exact same, almost a mirror army. There was a big river running through the middle of the board, and it was impassable. Well, not impassable, it was difficult, and neither of us really wanted to commit over the river because we knew wargs would be coming on behind it on our side that were pretty much unassailable by each other. So we actually had a really bloody game for the wargs. I think in total we killed between us 47 wargs altogether.
Wow.
Chris managed to kill 24, I killed 23. There were lots of times when you're charging against one and each other's Legolas was sniping them out.
That's brilliant.
And sort of throwing everything at killing the wargs that you can with shooting.
Yeah.
I had this one sentinel, managed to, obviously on Gandalf's channel Blinding Light, I had this one sentinel for about 5 turns in a row, 6 to hit Gandalf, gets past the cover, hits the man, wounds Gandalf. I got a wound on Gandalf just through the Sentinel, and I was like, wow, keep doing that, Sentinel. The game ended 24-24.
Wow, so you got that point for getting a wound.
For getting a wound,
wow.
That was a massive swing. Chris killed 24 wargs, I killed 23. He actually killed the most wargs out of everyone in the tournament.
Yeah, he got a special prize.
And I was so annoyed because I was one behind.
Well, I guess that kind of shows that, you know, from a shooting perspective, that both of you were kind of equal.
Yeah.
Like neither of you could have asked for more, really, from a shooting point.
We didn't actually meet in combat until the last turn-ish, and our Rummels went up against each other. Mine had spear support, and I was feeling pretty confident. And in one turn, my Rummel died.
Oh no!
I was like, oh.
Oh no!
We both heroic struck. He won the roll-off. He caused 2 wounds. I obviously have used a point of might already to heroic strike and won. I was like, Rummel's dead. Off he comes.
Oh dearie me.
Oh dearie me indeed.
So nice guy to play against?
Very nice guy, yeah.
Yeah, I met him later on, he's a really nice guy. Yeah. And that gentleman got us to sign Tom
SBG.
and Damien's SBG fanzine.
Yep.
Because obviously we're contributors, so he got us to sign it. But apart from Tom, who ran off.
Tom left. He was upset, I think. He didn't win the tournament, so I think he just left early.
Oh yeah, that's well, yeah. Tom.
Yeah.
So that was your first game,
yep.
And started off with a draw.
A draw.
So
not terrible, but not what I wanted.
Yeah, and a draw in a 5-tournament Swiss rank tourney isn't the worst thing in your first.
No, but you really at a one-day event you've well, I have in my mindset you've got to win all your games to win the tournament.
I think a draw, and then winning all your winning your next 3 games does give you a chance to be on that top table for the win, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So not a terrible result.
No.
So myself, and I have to say, it came back to the live draw, as it were, is that, you know, there is that, and it's terrible really, because you're hoping not to come against certain people.
A big name, as it were.
As a big name, as it were, and I was really happy. Because I got drawn against George Seymour, who I played before. He's Hunter Orcs at Destination Stockport 1.0 when I had to beat a ringer on the second day with the fellowship, and he's a lovely guy. Really like him. So I was looking forward to that game, and I was also relieved that I wasn't playing against yourself or Damien or Ed, and there were some other really tough armies and stuff there. However,
James Baldwin's was nasty.
Yeah, some really nasty. There was a lot of filth at this tournament.
Yeah.
A lot of filth.
Filthy.
There was loads of filth.
Pot calling the kettle black, but filthy people.
Yeah. There were a lot of us there. Yeah. And George whips out this Haradrim army.
Oh.
And I was like,
oh, rad.
I'm actually I'm in a game, because he's a good player.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like he doesn't know what he's doing. But now that you've got the combination of a good player and a good army.
Yeah, it's always a worrying.
And a good army at that scenario, because he had Betrayer on Felbeast, with loads of Watchers of Kana, some half trolls, some Corsairs as Corsair Reavers, and then a couple of like normal Haradrim sort of dotted about.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, because he's dominating that shooting battle. Yeah. One of my advantages, he's dominating that shooting battle. And I was really worried that he was just going to cut apart the board, be able to ping off wargs, get ahead of me in that sense. Now, I actually got the first turn priority. And, of course, with my horses with bows, I got myself into a position. Yeah, well, they are, aren't they?
Horses with bows.
You know what I mean. My bow-armed cavalry tried to get in a position where I had more on a small group of his Watchers of Kana than he could fire back, because of course that first round of shooting was going to be key, and I killed, I think, 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
And then the following turn, and this was a real game swinger early on. The following turn, I then called a heroic shoot with Erkenbrand to then do that again. And managed to kill a bunch of them. So that defence 4 let them down, and it changed his game plan.
Yeah. I would find that if you win the shooting war very early on, if you get 2 or 3 wounds, it's that domino effect where they can't shoot back as much at you, so next turn when you kill, it's monumentally more losses for them.
Yeah, he went from having a definite advantage, especially with re-rolling 1s and 2s to wound, a definite advantage, to now having to be quite cautious with his Watch of the Arcana. And yet still, because of the way that the Wargs came out, because there was one turn where it definitely weighed in my favour, and then there was another turn where it definitely weighed in his favour.
Yeah, that's the thing. Sorry, I'll interject.
Okay.
In Chris's game of mine, he had priority, I think, to 3 turns on the bounce, and a lot of the Wargs either A, didn't turn up or got the 4, 5 or 6, so coming on his bullets. I think that I was denied any Wargs for 2 turns entirely. And it's like,
and it can be scary because you're there with your tally. I don't know if you do the same.
Yeah, tallying them up and like, oh my god, he's like 7 Wargs ahead of me. How am I going to claw that back? I'm
like 10 minutes remaining. And you're like, what? I'm behind.
Yeah.
Now I was quite keen to sort of to engage him, and there was like a little hill on our right flank. So a lot of my heroes. I mean, Boromir was just mopping up Wargs on the other flank by himself.
He was just as he would.
Yeah, I just left him over there, made sure that they couldn't shoot him, and just each cleared stuff up. And Erkenbrand had moved over to use his might to help the archers and stuff, but then also pick off anything that would come off that board edge. So I had Boromir basically covering one corner. I had Erkenbrand and some sons, not many, and then riders who were shooting, covering the back board edge in the back right corner. And then I basically did this magnificent charge of Sons of Air around this hill thing that had been blocking off, and he actually moved up. It was quite worrying in terms of priority, because then I had to go forward, call a heroic move, because I lost priority. He won the roll-off, charged in, but then through a decent heroic combat with Aemonite and Pelennor, who had positioned so he couldn't be charged, I got him and a Son of Ale round on, a couple of Sons of Ale on one, and it was that heroic combat. And it's just a beautiful thing to behold. For a Son of Ale fan. So we did have a bit of a scrap, and it was a close one, and I think it ended 12-9 to me.
It's close.
12-9 to me. So it was a very, very close game, and really enjoyed playing with George. It was he's a cracking lad. I'm looking forward to seeing him at some more tournaments. So I actually started off with a win.
Good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, but not the number of VPs that you really want from Warganation.
You want high, like 24. Yeah,
you want high teens, low 20s.
Next game was Domination, and I was drawn against Rick Fryer with his, again, another filthy Harad force.
Which is surprising.
It's surprising for Rick, because he usually takes like quite themed, lovely armies. Like last time he brought the 2 Oliphants. Womax.
Because he's a very good painter, and he's a lovely guy. Massive fan of the channel. Yeah, very good terrain builder. Oh well, if you've seen
Mid-Sussex.
If you've seen any of our Rohan terrain, it is Rick, and he'd actually made the terrain for the East Grinstead event, which is fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. You put that in a bigger gaming hall space, and that's sort of better than our terrain, really. Yeah, it is.
So Rick's force had. I'm gonna go to the bar. You go back. Rick's force had the Knight of Umbar on Felbeast, which was nightmare to play against anyway. He had a Haradrim King or Mahud King on Camel. He had a Taskmaster and he had a Hasharin, so a really nasty bunch of heroes for me to fight against. And then he had lots of Watches of Arcana. He had what they called the Watcher upgrade for the regular warriors, so that they hit on 3+ with their poison bows. He had the Terror Causing guys, the Black Numenorians, but with no upgrade on them, and then he had a smattering of half trolls around. So the objectives got laid out in the 5 dots, and I thought, I'm just going to go into a line fight with him. I can't risk the shooting war. I need to deal with the Felbeast. So kept trying to blast with Gandalf, and I think I got about 2 blasts off the entire game, and all my other spells. Gandalf wasn't on form. He was doing pretty awfully. And eventually I managed to break him very late in the game. He also then broke me, and with it being dice down and finish, we'd lost a bit of time at the beginning of the game because neither of us had trays, but Rick obviously cares a bit more about his models than I do, so he packed them away back into the case. Right. And at the start of the game he had to then get them back out, which when you've got a very finite time of 1 hour and 40 with dice down at the end, I think we didn't start the game until sort of 15 minutes in or so. Right. So the time if we'd have had 15 minutes extra at the very end of the game, I had the Felbeast off, well, the Night Rumble off the Felbeast with Gandalf and Legolas beating him up in combat each turn. Just went one turn off, he passed both fate. He'd have gone very soon, he had 2 will left. And I reckon then I'd have been able to use my Sentinels and Magic to pin down his heroes so that he's taking courage tests. So with 15 more minutes, I reckon I'd have taken it, but with dice down and the loss of time at the beginning of the game, I think I lost the game in the end. I think about 13-0.
Wow.
Which doesn't reflect how close it, well, how much it could have swung in my favour.
Yeah.
The next turn. So.
Yeah, and it is the key thing with dice down. I think the main thing that we have to say is that Sam Page, considering the difficulties,
he ran it very well.
He ran the tournament incredibly well in some very difficult circumstances.
I wouldn't like to have been in his position to have to make those calls.
No, because it's going to... But he did superb. I mean, real hats off to you, Sam, because, I mean, I love your tournaments anyway. But you know that you're going to have unhappy players and you're also going to have an unhappy venue.
Yeah.
And you're having to sort of juggle between the two, and I think you did a great job because your communication was really good with the dice down. It wasn't like there was a situation where with 5 minutes to go, it was like, right, you've only got 5 minutes, it's dice down, and then all of a sudden someone's got the opportunity to start. So, you know, it was regular-ish enough.
Yeah.
You know, and
like, we got an hour, we got 45, we got 30, we got 20, we got 10, we got 5.
And
all dice down, stop your game.
All of us guys who are a bit more experienced over the course of this year were also, when we hadn't heard it for what we're calling it, because we know what an impact it can have on the game. So there was a lot of like, how long have we got left? How long have we got left? How long have we got left?
Yeah.
You know, and he did make some quite important calls as well for some very important games.
Yeah.
You know, that would really decide the outcome of the event, and try to give them as long as possible, which is, I think, was a good decision.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So a loss.
A loss, yeah. Not in a good mood. Well, not in a good mood, but just downhearted.
Yeah.
The,
yeah, especially that draw.
So with a draw, the loss, it sort of brought back the memories of the Rohan game against Dan Entwistle, where I'd lost it because I hadn't done certain things in the right order. And I was thinking again, dice down, and the loss of time at the beginning of the game have impacted.
And I guess also the added frustration that, you know, your 2 main rivals for the overall league
have already, one's lost, and I've got the opportunity to.
Yeah, like that was your opportunity. So you probably,
and especially since Damien and I played a game, the Woes Elves versus the Ferals, the night before.
Yeah.
And I literally just walked through the army, unopposed almost. And I think I won that game against Damien like 18-1 in Domination.
Wow, that's a smart. Well, I came in as you were
just finishing it. Yeah.
Just finishing that. Yeah, it did look pretty. Jamie, those your reinforcements. No, it looked like a really good game actually. So my second game was against another chap that I played before, Thomas Seacombe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I played him as well.
Yeah, really nice guy, and very good player.
Yep.
Very good player. The last time I played him was again at an East Grinstead event, and I played him in the final game of the one you won the tournament.
Yeah.
It's the one with Caesar Prize as the last game.
Yes, yeah.
The one that, if I'd have been me now, I'd have gone. I would have tried to win. I'd have gone for it. Would have tried to, but you won it.
Yeah.
And
that's right. Don't forget that.
I don't worry. And I played him in Seize the Prize, and of course, you know, I'm most of the time, unless I'm incredibly unlucky.
Unless you can't roll that 4+.
Yeah, and most of the time.
And even then, you should still.
Should take it with the Rohan, with the army that I've got, especially with Sons of Our 12-inch movement and stuff. And as a result, that game was over so quick that I actually played it and said, well, play any scenario you want, and we started playing to the death. And he was hammering me when time was called on that the first time. So we played him this time, and Domination, and again, you know, thinking, right, okay, Domination's a scenario that suits me.
Yep.
Like Warganation is really. Okay, I should have a chance with this. And he pulls out Goblin Town. Loads of Goblin Town, like loads. Goblin Scribe, and we'll talk a little bit more about him soon.
Yeah, you had the Goblin Scribe, you had 2 Goblin Captains.
2 Goblin Captains.
The Witch King.
He had the Witch King on foot.
2-14-2, I think it was.
Yeah. And he had the 3 Trolls. So all of a sudden I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking, this is actually going to be really tough, because you've got things that can negate my stuff. You've got a lot of models to try and remove from objectives, like, so that's going to be, you've got a lot to deal with, and then you've also got some big powerful things that are going to be really hard to budge off objectives. So what I usually do with Domination is try and keep the objectives spaced out.
That you can place.
Yeah, that I can place. I try and keep the game as spread out as possible, because of course that benefits my movement. Okay. Now, the first turn that he brought on reinforcements of the Goblin Scribe, I was like, oh no! Oh no, because they can come on anywhere, on any board edge. And I was like, what?
Wait, they're going to swarm around my objectives.
I was like, well, that's the thing. I put one back right on my board side there.
What would have been your board?
And then was going to fight across that, and then put one in the top right corner, because he'd actually placed one quite close to the middle one, and one sort of back on his side, on the other side of the board, reasonably close. So there was kind of 3 along in the middle, kind of like that. So I put one in that far corner, put one down there, and of course none of his models were deployed in that far corner, so I'm like, right, I'll get an outrider on that. One back here, I was like, well, he's going to have to fight through me to get to that, so I can just send a rider back, when I need, on the turn where it's looking like it's going to be near the end. So really, it's about kind of scrapping for
the central 3.
The central 3. Well, Goblin Scribe just lets them come on. So immediately I was like, what? The one behind me was going to be taken. Then he got one to come up there, and I was like, you're joking. And then all of a sudden the Witch King started bossing, like a lot of my heroes and stuff, like Erkenbrand and, So I did manage to get a charge in on his right flank, which was where one of the objectives he placed, which was set a bit further back from his centre battle line. He kind of deployed everything in the middle, big lot in the middle. I deployed a little bit sort of back to the left, loads of like powerful strong force on my left side on the flank, and then stuff to go and grab the objective and kind of skirt around and get ready to jump on the middle ones towards the end, on the right and behind this house. And Boromir of Gondor was there as well. So my initial charge on his right flank, my left flank, with like Éomer, Éowyn, loads of Sons of Éowyn, was devastating. But then the trolls came along.
Trolls are horrible. Dinks them in again.
Well, I put it this way, on the other side of his battle line, which is more kind of like the centre of the board. Like I was trying to get Boromir in there and Erkenbrand and stuff, and Boromir got sneezed on. And like that's horrible.
That ability's grim, isn't it?
I was getting smashed. I was getting smashed, like really well and truly smashed. Because after my initial charges, Éomer was getting unhorsed, been hurled. I ended up having to try and run away with him because leader kill, didn't want to give that away. He's taken my objective that was behind me, and I can't afford to send anything back because he's got 5 goblins there, and I'm trying to sort of stop his middle from coming over completely. I sent an outrider and 1 rider to try and take care of the 1 goblin that was holding the objective back there. And going into kind of like the final turn, he held the one that was back on his right flank. He'd smashed most of my army, but I wasn't broken. Smashed most of my. He was definitely dominating the middle one, and I had the one just on that right hand side. And in the in that last turn, a Son of Éowyn charged his 2 goblins. So I ran away with Éomer in that last turn. Son of Éowyn charged 2 goblins back on his right objective, back and right objective. Managed to charge the one that was in the far corner. Obviously he's got the one down here. Charged in as much as I could into the central objective. So I was contesting it, hoping that I wouldn't kill too much. Son of Éowyn, Son of Éowyn who charged in onto 2, kills those 2 to break him and take that objective, and killed the goblin over on that far corner, so dominating that.
So that's a 9-point swing.
Thought I'd been smashed. Counting up the VPs, I had 2 uncontested objectives, and I'd broken him. Oh no, that was it. I had been broken. So I got 1 point for that. And then he had 3 objectives. Oh, that's right, I'd sent another rider down to contest the one in the corner. He had 3, but but that were contested.
So 3 points.
Oh no, 1 that was uncontested, 2 that were contested, so that's 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he hadn't broken me. That's it, so it was 6-5.
Okay.
Oh, no, 7-6.
You've got your VPs wrong, I think, but yeah.
No, I didn't in the game.
Yeah.
Just
no, I don't mean in the game, I mean just in memory.
In memory, yeah. No, it was 7-6. It was 7-6 because I held 2 uncontested and had broken him.
Yeah. So that's 7.
So that's 7, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't get 3 for breaking the other person. Is that right?
If you're both broken, you get 1 each.
That's right. So he had broken me.
Yeah.
Because that's 1. He had 1 himself, and then he had 2 that were contested.
Yeah.
That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's 7-6.
Yeah, that's 7-6.
That's 7-6. So that's what happened, and we were both gobsmacked.
Yeah.
Because he was bossing it. And it was a horrible force to play against, but I learnt a lot. The Goblin Scribe in Domination is awesome.
Yeah, he is.
Absolutely awesome. So, 2 victories.
2 wins.
2 wins. Very unlikely that second one, but that Son of Ale did it for me.
Was it lunch then?
It was lunch.
It was lunch. So lunch went down, sat down. It came out in dribs and drabs. The pub aren't the best at getting everything out at once.
It was lunch after the 3rd game.
Lunch after the 3rd game? Okay.
So we had the 3rd game next.
They don't know that. We could have just lied.
Oh no, it wasn't. It was lunch. You're absolutely right. Unless it was a break, because I can definitely remember. It can't have been a break because of the schedule. It must have been lunch.
Yeah.
Right. But that seems weird that there were 3 games after lunch.
It seems right though. I think it did feel longer after.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it was lunch because I can remember it being lunch because that's when I got told that because of how it had fallen, I was potentially playing Mr. O'Byrne.
Yeah.
Again at Lords of Battle.
Oh, because you played it
in the middle game.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your 3rd game. Who did you get?
Oh, my 3rd game I got Kieran. Mr. Kieran Street.
Kieran!
I was like, oh god, I've drawn, I've lost. I'm gonna get Kieran, and the channel hosts don't have a good record against Kieran. But you keep losing to him.
3-0.
Damien keeps losing to him. Has Tom lost to him? I don't know. So we were drawn against Kieran in Lords of Battle, and he puts down the Fellowship. And I go, oh, for God's sake! Like, couldn't be a worse matchup for Lords of Battle. We originally got set up on a board that I just played on in the 1st game with the river running through it and the bridge going over. And I was like, well, I'm probably not going to win, so I'm just going to have the best go I can, and I'm going to fight you on the bridge. And we're getting ourselves ready for this, epic battle on the bridge. He'd have Boromir, Aragorn, and Gimli, and put everyone in there that I could really. And then I think Callum Edens had played on the board he was on twice in a row, so he has to swap.
That's right, yeah.
And so we swapped around, and we ended up on this desert board, and it was suddenly like, oh, why? The epicness had suddenly disappeared. We'd gone from fighting in a lovely sort of villagey area.
That's right, with the river.
With the river to the desert. And it was like, right, the Wood Elves, the Woses, and the Fellowship are now fighting in Harad. Okay. So there was this, they're called Arcane Ruins from Games Workshop. One of them was in the middle of the board, and it has 3 access points and some gaps for fighting in.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so Kieran set up his Fellowship in the Arcane Ruins, had Aragorn on one door, Gimli on the other, Boromir on one.
Makes sense.
Yep, and I just swarmed around it, had Legolas pop shot in people, Gandalf, but not trying to immobilise because I thought that wouldn't be fun enough. I thought I'd just try and blast everyone and just do wounds,
yeah.
Which failed miserably for me. Gandalf continues to be a terrible point sink this tournament. He wasn't on form, wasn't rolling well enough with his spells.
Yeah.
I was constantly rolling 1s and 2s and using a point of might to make it a 3 and making them resist it. Gandalf does awfully in all my games, there's a spoiler there. But I do alright. I've got fight 6 spear support, so I'm drawing fight most of the time. Kieran doesn't want to burn the might to go up fight just to kill a guy. So I'm slowly just losing fights, but drawing out their might to win fights. And then Rummel comes in, kills Legolas. He's coming in through the side. He's got a bunch of banner and spear supports with him. Kills Legolas. Woohoo! Point might back. Charge in, and then I realised that there were these 4 hobbits in the middle of the Arcane Ruins, and they're heroes. And when you kill a hero in Lords of Battle, you get a point of might back. So Rummel next turn charges into one of them, heroic combat, kills him, gets a point of might back. Into the next one, kills him, point of might back he spent earlier. Next turn, heroic move if I need to, charge into another one, heroic combat, kill him, get a might back, kill the next one, get more might back. And so Rummel went from like 0 back up to 3.
Wow.
And by the end of it, I think all that was left was Aragorn and Gimli. And I managed to push them sort of outside the arcane ruins, so I managed to get a good grip around them. And I'd been casting spells on Gimli because I was thinking, use Gandalf to try and blast him around. And he'd used all his will. Aragorn had been charged by everyone, and it was Gimli called a heroic move or something to try and tie up models before they could charge in. Gimli rolls his courage, double 1.
Whoa.
And he had no might left, no will left, so Gimli ran away.
No
And we were
way.
like, Gimli was Aragorn's only hope
Yeah.
in this. And then, like, so that stopped the sort of heroic move from Gimli.
Yeah.
Rummel charges in, everything charges in, Legolas on horse, Gandalf on horse, get everyone that I can in there, and Legolas died, sorry, Aragorn died, and I wiped him out. And the game ended up 35-30
Wow.
to myself.
Wow, really? So actually,
A very bloody game.
really bloody game. Really close.
Kieran and I were, both of us, like, we knew I'd won by wipeout, but we were hoping that I'd have more victory points,
Yeah.
because it feels a bit weird that even though you've wiped out your opponent, that they could have scored more and still lost the game.
Yeah.
So I think we were both a little bit relieved when we saw that I'd got 35 and he'd got 30.
Yeah, you would be, yeah.
Because like he's done, his warriors have done more than they can possibly hope for by if he'd got 36, let's say.
Yeah.
So why should they be considered the losers if they've killed more than they're worth?
Hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's interesting. It sounds like a cracking game.
It was really good.
And Kieran's really fun to play.
Yeah.
You know,
we were both playing for the right
jest.
reasons. We were both just, you know.
Kieran always plays for the right reasons, which is why it's really annoying losing to him all the time. He's never trying to get, apart from when he laid down those Urukai and he shot me with the crossbows. That wasn't a very Kieran thing to do. But apart from that, he plays for completely the right reasons. And fun opponent.
Yeah. So now I was on 1-1-1, a win, a loss and a draw.
About average, as Mr. Harrison would say.
Yeah.
Average. So I was, it was rumoured that I was going to be playing against Damien for that middle game, and we, apart from the fact that we played a bit recently anyway because of the channel, at the last East Grinstead we'd played at Lords of Battle 3rd game. So a request was made that, if it didn't affect anybody else, could we swap?
Yeah.
And Callum, Edens and Alistair were also on 2 wins, and I think Murtal was on 2 wins as well at that point, but I think he had the lowest lot of EPs.
Yeah.
So we all got swapped about. Worked out quite well for Damien. Damien ended up against Alistair. No disrespect to Alistair, but Alistair's force with the 2 attacks causing terror is much easier to deal with for Damien.
Yeah.
So Damien was. Oh yeah, so Alistair was supposed to be playing against Callum. Now Callum's a good player. Practices against Tom Harrison a lot, seems to do quite well at a lot of the tournaments he's played, quite a tough player to play against by all accounts. But it was my first time playing against him.
Swing and a miss.
Swing and a miss. Because I got moved to him. And now he had a Wood Elf army.
It was a mix, wasn't it? It was like Galadriel, Wood Elves and Rivendell.
There wasn't many there were Galadriel Court Guard.
Yeah.
So there was Galadriel Court Guard. There were some Rivendell elves on foot.
6, yeah.
So for the defence 6, then Wood Elves for your bows and your shooting and stuff. And he had Gandalf for cast blinding light. He had Arwen for Nature's Wrath. He had
Legolas.
He had Legolas. Was that his heroes wise? I might have missed one. He didn't have Thranduil. I can't think, but...
Did he not have the twins? No?
No, he didn't have the twins. He didn't have the twins. So he had that force, it's Lords of Battle, and we were playing on that board with the river running through.
Yep.
And the first thing was that, I'm guessing it counts as a shallow stream, and he was like, and I said, cavalry can just go across that, and he was like, really? Well, it shouldn't be a shallow stream then. It should be a force. So there's clearly something that would benefit one or the other.
Yeah.
So I went and asked Sam, of course, and that went. So I think we were both pleased that we were going to get to play someone new, and it was Lords of Battle, and I had to deploy first. So I actually started off deploying quite far back, Because you tend to do that with cavalry, and you don't want to be too near the middle because
you get jumped on.
You're going to get jumped on, yeah. But then he actually started deploying quite far back into like a little shell.
Yeah.
So it's clearly the game plan was going to be to sit on the hill, cast blinding light, and outshoot me.
Yeah.
Which, you know, capable of doing. So I deployed everything, and the first 3 turns it was very, very tactical. Very tactical. Me and Callum chatted about this after, because at the time he was, you know, I was having to make decisions about where would I try and get bows on him, because he clearly had the advantage. Okay, he wasn't going to move either, so he wasn't going to move, but he was a little bit upset that I wasn't moving into his bow range.
Yeah.
But it didn't make sense to.
No.
So I was moving. So I was sort of going around that left hand side, and he was saying, well, you know, there's only this long, but I was saying, well, you're not coming to get me, so it shouldn't be down to me.
Swings both ways, yeah.
Of course it does. Which is fair enough, and afterwards we were chatting, he said, listen, I would have done exactly the same, and, you know, things like that. And I was trying to play it in a similar way to how I played against Damien in our last Lords of Battle. So again, you know, you're coming up against the army which maybe has got a better bow superiority, that are going to be quite good against you in combat, but you're kind of hoping to try and make them change the game by getting that one kill.
One kill and getting out of there.
Yeah, which is why I was going around on the flank with some of my heroes, lots of my Sons of Ale, Boromir and everything, because I was trying to get to a position where he would kind of move, and I would be able to sort of get all my bows on one, kill one and force him to chase the game.
Yeah.
The issue with that is that it works well in practice and if you're lucky.
Yeah.
And just like against Damien, where Damien forced me to chase the game by compelling Wahir, again it was a wizard that was the key thing in stopping that game plan. And he came out and he managed a Sorceress Blast, which killed did it kill 3? It was a horrendous Sorceress Blast.
Yeah.
Like it was really damaging, and all of a sudden then I had to chase the game. Now the issue at that point is that half of my force was a long way back.
Yeah.
A long way back. So I charged in with, I had to kind of charge in, heroic march and stuff, with what I had there to engage, because all of a sudden I'm in bow fire and I managed to chase the game, and there's not that long left really in the big scheme of things.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, I'm just trying to move up to get as close as I possibly can. So so I did charge in, and we started to have a scrap that involved lots of sort of heroic combats, and Arwen failed her Nature's Wrath, but then got butchered by Boromir, I think it was. Yeah. So that was quite lucky from my point of view. Yeah. And we were really sort of just getting to grips with each other, and it was coming into that final turn, and he was struggling to kill my stuff, which you found with Wood Elves before because of the defence 6, like the suns and everything. And then
hit the horse.
In that turn, he killed Eomer, and he killed Erkenbrand in that last turn. And we went to, that was it, end of the game, and he'd won 17-10.
Ooh.
So close. Now, I really enjoyed playing against Callum, even if he didn't seem to be enjoying it early on. I always enjoy a challenge, and playing against challenging armies and challenging players, and Callum is clearly a good player. Yeah. Clearly good, and he's obviously going to be a tough player to play against for lots of reasons. And the biggest compliment I can give to him is that he's changed the way that I think about playing against those types of armies that can outshoot you at Lords of Battle, and also the type of army that I want to bring. Yeah. And as a result of playing against him, and technically playing against Damien in the last one, I'm thinking of doing the Rohan equivalent of the Feral.
What, just Sons of Ale? Sons of Ale and Outriders?
Not an Outriders.
Just Rohan Fed
Westfold Red Shields. So as a result, my Sterling list, which I'm quite happy to say now, I'm never bothered by that kind of thing anymore, it's the disaster that was the Shadow and Sorcery. Is basically the heroes I want to take. So Erkenbrand, Eomer, Eowyn, I love them all, they're all Rohan, 15 Sons of Ale, 13 Westfold Red Shields, and 1 Rider of Rohan with a banner.
Not Westfold Red Shield?
No, I can't afford it.
Oh.
No, 1 point off. 1 point off. And that's as a result of playing against you, Callum, so well done for forcing that. And I was obviously devastated because, again, after playing 2 wins at an East Grinstead tournament, play against a good player in the middle, which you're always going to play someone in that middle game. My chance being Lords of Battle, thinking this is good for my... And I would have been better just being in his face and charging him.
Just charging him, get those early kills in. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is the number of warbands that I had. But what I should have done, the moment I saw him deploying on the hill, I should have deployed up. Yeah. With everything, I should have deployed up.
Sorry, march, get in the face and just charge.
What I did against you in our first ever game is what I should have done.
Where I deploy straight in your face.
You deployed straight in, I deployed straight in, charge, and knowing that my force doesn't yield too much.
And start cheating.
Yeah.
start cheating mid-game, that's a good way to win.
I don't think Callum would have been as easy.
No, I think if we were at tournaments I wouldn't have been either.
No, I think so.
I don't think I'd have set up on the hill.
I don't think you would have done either. So yeah, it's made me think about all my tic-tacs for that and made genuine mistakes and errors tactically, which is always great because it means you can learn from them.
You learn it,
You learn from them. So all of a sudden I was a loss.
2 wins and a loss.
2 wins and a loss. So then we went into the 4th game. Hold ground.
The 4th game, hold ground, and I drew Myrtle from James Baldwin. And so he comes over and I'm like, okay, so I've got a win, a loss and a draw, it's alright I guess, you know, I'm probably not going to win, but I might, you know, pip like 4th or something maybe. And he brings over Goblin Town, he got him, good stuff. Brings over a Goblin Town force with the Goblin King, Grinner, a Moria Goblin Shaman with some Black Shields and 4 Warp Marauders, Tom I think the Troll, and I just kind of sat there, yeah, smells a bit like Edam, doesn't it?
Filthy.
Yeah. So we rolled priority. He got priority, which I was quite happy for. But Ren rolled lots of 1s for his warbands. I was like, God damn it! Only Grinner came on, and for me, rolled for Gandalf. Gandalf turns up, blasts down the line, gets like 8 and kills 1. And I was like,
oh no!
God damn it, Gandalf! I used might on that roll. It was too good.
You know when that happens, it's not going to be your game.
Yeah. I was like, 4 should be dead.
Yeah.
Statistically, not 1, not the one that got blasted. So that went a bit awry, but I was like, still, I can do it again next turn potentially. And Gandalf, for the rest of the game, again continues to flop all these dice rolls.
No.
Blasting the defense 3 goblins, immobilizing trolls, just failed it all.
No.
I was like, oh, Gandalf, why you deserted me? I'm not using him again. Going back to Galadriel. Yeah, so I brought on my Wose's and Legolas's warband, I believe it was, yep. They said Rumil rolled a 2, and I was like, it's not worth 2 might to do it, I want his might for later things. So he brought him on this end and put the Warp Marauder warband with stuff there as well. Next turn, everyone just moves forwards and in, and then he rolls for his other warbands. He gets Tom on to come on this side, he gets the Goblin King to come on this side. Legolas is then sort of semi-surrounded by these goblins and a troll on either side. So he just on his horse zips away, abandons the troops who charge in and just ties to foot. It was a massacre. It's an absolute massacre. I managed to get a sneaky wound on the Goblin King.
Oh, that's cool.
With just a Woes with an axe.
Oh, Woes is with axes.
He failed his blubbering mass, failed his fate, and he was like, well done, you're the first person to wound him all tournament.
That's good.
Small victories.
Yeah.
Ultimately, well done, Woes. Ultimately, that warband's down there just disappeared after about 3 or 4 turns of being hurled and just generally piercing, struck and fainted at.
That's a tough army to play against.
I realised in that game how horrible Goblin Town are, because they have rubbish fight value and their solo defence, both the strikes they're armed with make no difference to the army, so you might as well always do them.
Yeah, of course.
And it's like, oh god, this is horrible.
Yeah. And also the chittering hordes.
Chittering hordes are just constantly supporting each other. I broke and I was like 4 models off breaking James by the end of it, and I suddenly had a brilliant idea that if it paid off would have been fantastic and would have immortalised the game in my mind.
Yeah.
I was going to sentinel the Goblin King.
Yeah.
And there was like loads of goblins in the central objective. I was going to make him just walk over them all. Because then they'd all take a strength 3 hit for being walked over and hopefully break him.
Did he pass his courage test?
He passed his courage test!
Joking, he's got rubbish courage.
He's courage 3!
He's got
with
rubbish
1 will point, and I was like, this would have been fantastic. That would have been amazing.
That would have been really good. Oh, something to think about for the future, folks.
Yeah. He had some immols in the central objective. I didn't have a cat and hell's chance of getting anywhere with it.
Yeah, tough army to come up against. Beautifully painted.
Got absolutely smashed. Yeah, very good. Yggdrasil painting.
Yeah. Yggdrasil.
I like the world tree.
And you won best painted.
They won best painted. Yeah, good. I forgot about that one. Very nice painted. in the end, I realised I wasn't going to win just by sheer numbers. So I thought, I'm going to have a go at Tom the Troll. Charged in, Legolas and Gandalf. Went in, cast Immobilise, failed it. Heroic struck with Legolas. I think I won. I managed to get a wound on him after he failed his fate. And then next turn they both died.
Yes, because the Trolls are nasty. So that's then 2 losses, a draw and a win.
Yes.
So not what you wanted.
That's not what I wanted. I was like, come on, I'm not doing well here. It can be an easier force.
Yeah.
Hold ground.
That's a tough force to come up against.
Yeah.
Hold ground as well. Very, very. Don't have been tough even on a good day for you.
Yeah.
Been tough.
That's the kind of game I'd expect to have lost, sort of top table at the very end of the tournament.
Yeah.
That kind of force. It's prepped for hold ground.
Yeah. Very, very true. So that was your hold ground game.
Yep.
So we go on to my hold ground. Now, hold ground used to be a horrendous scenario for me, and it was actually at the first East Grinstead event where I felt like I learned to play hold ground.
I thought it was at Mansfield when Owen beat you and you realised what you then had to do.
That was at the first Mansfield. I realised what I had to do, but then my first execution of it was against Chris Young at the first East Grinstead.
Oh, okay.
And since then, it's been that whole idea of right, okay, you've got to try and get over the objective.
Fight back onto it.
Yeah, and fight back onto it. So you can get there first with the cavalry. So get your heroic marches in there because they'll probably heroic march. Try and fight them over it, and obviously then towards the end of the game, make sure that you've got what you need on there, etc. Now I drew up against Sam Page. Now Sam Page was was having to be ringer as well because there was an odd number. Unfortunately, Chris Young couldn't make it because of childcare issues, which is a real big shame. So I was playing against him. Now he had a really fluffy sort of Erebor Dale army.
Yeah.
He had like Girion in there.
Girion, Thror and Thrain, was it?
He didn't have Thror, he had Thrain.
Yeah.
So Girion, Thrain and Barlin. He had he had young Barlin, he had new Hobbit Barlin. So nice and fluffy. Now I actually lost priority. I won priority, which you don't want in this game. Now I have to say, at this point, I was quite tired because I had had 3 really tough games. Yeah. Like they were really tough.
We hadn't had much sleep, had we? We got about 3 or 4 hours sleep, I think.
We got 4 or 5 hours sleep because we filmed a battle report for the channel.
Yep.
But yeah, I was feeling a bit tired from a game point of view, a bit game fatigue, because the game versus Callum was very tough. The game versus Thomas Seacombe was incredibly tough. My hardest game. Yeah. Just real hard game. And George Seymour, the game was tough as well because there's lots to think about, and just about managed to get that one. So I was kind of pleased to be playing against Sam, and I also owed him a game because I played him at Shadow and Sorcery.
Oh, were you skirted?
I skirted, yeah. And I played him, I killed the spider, and then because I didn't realise I'd killed his leader, I kept running away. Yeah. And I'd killed his leader because I was worried about getting broken. It was early days where I was still quite a new player.
Still green.
Yeah, very green. And of course that's not very enjoyable for your opponent. No. So I owed him a game. So I came on. At this point I wasn't thinking like that, but I came on first, and a couple of things didn't come on, made sure everything else came on where it needed to be. And then when he was coming on, he got his smallest warband, which I think was Barlin, and he had a couple of little bits. And I got to choose. So I actually thought, put them behind my force. Yeah. Because I was like, well, I'll get them wiped out if I can, get them wiped out. But then he did get to choose everything else. They all came on behind my force. Yeah. Now, in some ways, from the game perspective, the scenario, that's actually quite good for me.
Yeah, because you don't even have to run across the objective.
I don't even. Yeah, I'm already where I need to be. Yeah. So I can sort of move back and shoot, but then fight him where I want to fight him because he's never going to catch me. Yeah. But I made a decision at that point. I owed Sam Page a game. I was very tired, and I said, "Listen, I'm gonna
go for it.
I'm just gonna charge you." Yeah. So when he lost priority. Oh no, he called a heroic move actually. Out on Thor's flank, because obviously if he's come on 6 inches.
So he
He'll come
comes
on 5
on
inches.
5, he can catch you from 5 with
Yeah,
some of your
he can catch my
riders.
my riders. So I had to call a heroic. I got it, but that meant I charged in that flank, got counter-charged, but then I counter-charged.
Yeah.
And we proceeded to have an absolute scrap of a game.
Yeah.
Like, just fine. Everything had come on apart from Erkenbrand and some outriders. Yeah. And really that was kind of a good thing, so I actually got him to come on the southboard edge when I realised.
Just run into the middle.
And run towards the middle. I sent Erkenbrand up and as many riders as I could afford, and I just thought if I can keep 7 in the middle,
yeah,
then that, if he kills my leader and he breaks me,
that's 7-6. Yeah.
It's 7-6, you know. So I did that, and it was a really, really good game. A lot of which was Aomer versus Thrall, and kind of a gentleman's agreement that we wouldn't put anybody else
into it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I got wounds on Thrain, and he got wounds on Aomer, and both of them were down to 1 wound each. Or something. I think Aomer might have had 2 wounds left, and he had 1 wound each. And it was just a really, really good, fun, relaxed game. There were a couple of panicky moments where I was thinking, hang on a minute, is he now going to go and try and win the game and get rid of those guys in the middle? Because I played it like that. I was a bit worried, but it didn't happen. And it was a victory to me in the end, 7-1. Or 6-1. 7-1.
7-1.
I think, I broke him.
He gets your general.
Yeah, I broke him.
It'll be 10-1 then.
I broke him, he broke me.
Okay, right, yeah.
I broke him, he broke me. We both had a wound on the general.
So that's 2 each.
2 each, and then I must have left. Oh no. Well, have we scored it wrong? Or maybe it was 7-2.
Yeah.
And then I left 5 in the middle or something.
Yeah.
In the end, just sent one wide out. I was trying to do the maths. So yeah, really, really good fun game. It was a victory to the Rohan. Maybe in retrospect, maybe I should have tried to play it to get as many VPs as possible.
Yeah.
For the tournament sense, but I did need. Sometimes you just need that game, don't you?
Well, you just charge in, like me with Kieran. Just charge in, forget about the tournament a little bit, and just go for it.
And just go for it. And very enjoyable game with Sam. And thank you very. It was a lovely, fluffy army, and did very well at stuff because there was a lot of models in that army of Thrall army. It's quite a good army.
Yeah.
Like at that point.
Yeah.
It starts to become quite a good army because you get a lot in it.
Who is 2 that equalled over 250 then? Because Thrall's 140 and Girian's like 60. Sam, were you cheating in your own tournament?
Get Thorin in there as well.
Oh yeah, Thorin in there. Oh, well, yeah, there you go.
Thorin was it, but Thorin wasn't really involved really.
Yeah.
Just didn't really do too much really. It was more about the Thrall.
Yeah.
The Thrain thing. So yeah, really, really good game, and that took us up to the final game. So I was on 3 wins and 1 loss.
Yep, I was on 2 losses, a win and a draw.
So the final scenario was
taken to the death.
To the death.
To the death.
Good one to finish on.
I played against Tom, who you beat in Domination.
Tom Seacombe.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I looked across the table. I was like, oh great, it's another Goblin Town army with a lot more models than me and 3 trolls. This is going to be grim. But I had the banner, and to cut a long story short, I had like 2 turns of shooting. I just thought, I can't be bothered skirting, like running away, so I'll just charge in. The Woses massacred the goblins because we had the higher fighting, +1 to wound and piercing striking, so I thought, I might just do it and kill him on 2s. Broke him. My banner was alive, so it was 8-0 at one point.
Yeah.
Then I broke, so back down to 6-0, and then the 5-3.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on the last turn of the game, I'd like popped a shot onto the Witch King and dropped his fate down to, I think he had none left, just a wound. I thought, I'll charge Legolas in, just go for a leader kill. Forgetting this was my priority, and the trolls were in charge range. Trolls charge into Legolas. Legolas gets jumped on by one of the trolls and he causes 5 wounds, and Legolas dies outright.
Yeah.
And the Witch King survives, granting the win to 6-5.
Oh.
I was like, oh well.
Yeah.
A win at that point would have done no more than a loss did for me for the league, so I wasn't too fussed, and Tom and I had a great game. So
yeah, very, very tough. Tough opponent, tough army.
Yeah, very tough.
Tough. Very much enjoyed our game. Now
they didn't even touch the trolls. No wounds against them. Really.
Same.
Just left them to hurl.
Yeah.
Try to charge them on the opposite arc so that they could only hurl away from them.
I think it's one of the increased reasons why they're dangerous is because, you know, being in that list, and of course they're very good and they've got very good special rules, you tend to just want to try and deal with the goblins and try and break them.
Kill the goblins, break them, why they might run away.
Because the trolls, unless he's got one of the trolls as a leader, are they independent heroes?
Yes, no, they set up as a warband. I think. Yeah, they set up as one warband, like the Fellowship did. I think.
Right, okay.
I'm pretty sure they are.
Well, because they don't give any points, you kind of want to ignore them from a scenario point of view.
It's not like a big goblin who can throw you around, is how you imagine them.
They're so hard to take down.
The fact that two of them are fight 7 and defense 7, it's not like you can go in and get some easy wounds on them.
No.
Like one of them's fight 6, defense 6. That's an easy guy.
Yeah, you're going to try and get him, but he sneezes on you.
But you don't want to put a hero in because he's going to sneeze on him and beat him up.
Yep.
For 4 turns or something. And it's just.
They're very, very hard to deal with. They're very good.
Yeah.
They are very, very good. They're very, very good, especially in that list.
In a Goblin Town Force where you've got goblins to worry about.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. So I went into my last game of To the Death, and just like at the last East Grinstead tournament on the final game, I went up against Tom Harrison. GBHL Tom Harrison himself, who had no right with the force that he brought being on that table.
No way should he have been there.
You know, at that point there was only 1, 2, 3, 2 tables above us and then the top table, I think. 2 tables and then the top table. Now Tom had brought not a great force. You know,
what is it like? Shagrat, War Leader.
Shagrat War Leader.
4 Mordor Urukai. Witch King 323 was he? With the Mole Crown on Armoured Horse or something?
Yeah.
A Shaman, a Troll Chieftain.
Shaman and Troll Chieftain.
And then just Orcs.
Just Orcs. Orcs with
lots
shield.
of defence 4 Orcs.
Lots of defence 4 Orcs. So we set up, and of course, you know, like in our last game, Banner, protect, you know, gets protect. Yeah. And I set up one lot, sort of making a bowl. Like he was setting up along the middle of the board, and as he was setting up along the middle of the board, it's clear he's just getting my face.
Yeah.
You know, right, doing the right thing. But then I actually made sure that on my left flank, that I was kind of with a lot of my beefy stuff. So I had Aemma, I had Boromir of Gondor, loads of Sons of Ale. Made sure that I was within like 12 inches of him.
Yeah.
You know. Lily turned up at that point.
Yep, Tom's missus.
Tom's other half, and I've not seen her since I went down to film the famous.
First time I've seen her.
Kinshasa.
First time I've seen her, yeah.
Oh. Absolutely lovely, lovely, lovely. And she actually came to roll some of Tom's dice, which was nice, and it became exactly the kind of relaxed game that it needed to be. So, for example, Tom did a lot of things that he wouldn't normally do, and I did a lot of things that I wouldn't normally do. But in that situation where you've got an optimised force versus a not optimised force,
there's only one way it should go.
There's only one way it should go, and it went that way. Yeah. So he actually moved into my charge range, I moved in, got all the heroic combats I wanted. I think in the second turn of charges and combats, because of heroic combats, etc., the second turn of that happening, he lost 15 or 16 orcs in one go. Just the Sons of Ale were having a field day.
Yeah, defence 4.
Strength 4 against defence 4, knocking down like 3 or 4 at a time. I was having a great time because it's just the kind of game I needed, you know. And he wasn't playing it seriously. I wasn't really playing it seriously either. No. You know, we had some really interesting little things that Tom also forgot. Like he forgot to channel Fury, but then of course he said, oh, you would have done it, so of course you would. And then proceeded to do it, and then forget to make a single Fury save throughout the whole game. Including, and I forgot as well, until it came to his shame, and he was like...
He forgot as well.
I did.
You're right.
I did. I don't remember these things.
Yeah, sure.
I think that Erkenbrand shields with 6 dice.
Yeah.
So, it was only when I came to killing his shaman that he remembered to roll that. So a really relaxed game, absolutely steamrolled. I think he got a wound on Aemma, so he was chasing the kill on Aemma. So like he was using his Witch King to get rid of his will, and then using the troll. Using Shagrat to try and get him. Yeah, managed to take Shagrat down with some Sons of Ale and Boromir, and yeah, it was a fun game to be involved in from my point of view. And I think it was 7-1 to me in the end. I'd Banner and I'd broken him, and he'd got a wound on my leader.
Yeah.
So 7-1. So that meant I finished the game with 4 wins. Finished the day with 4 wins, which put me in with that shot of 3rd place.
Yep.
So it comes to the award ceremony, and in 2nd place was Damien O'Byrne.
Yep.
GBHL Damien came 2nd. So well done, and he'd actually fallen to Callum,
yes,
who had beaten me
in the last game.
in the last game.
No, it was whole ground, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, sorry, 2nd to last game.
Second to last.
2nd to last game. He'd fallen to Callum, and Callum was playing against Ed Ball on the top table in the last game.
Yeah.
And it was a draw, which meant that Callum, because Ed had lost to Damien earlier on, took the tournament on 4 wins and a draw. So congratulations to Callum. His first tournament win.
Yeah.
Yeah, so well done to him, got some lovely prizes. I actually went up and got a prize, it's on my fridge right now, got a fridge magnet for being the 2nd best good player.
Yeah.
But I just missed out on 3rd.
Who got 3rd?
New player, beat Murtaugh in the last game. This is going to really annoy me because I know his name.
I'm not good with the names. What was his face?
Well, he went up and got a prize.
I don't remember it.
I can't remember. Did he also get best opponent? Most sporting maybe? I can't remember. But he came 3rd.
Yep.
Really sorry about that.
Apologies.
Apologies. Can see your face and just really struggling to put the names.
It wasn't Chris, was it?
It wasn't Chris Daniel. So he came 3rd and he bumped me just out, which meant I was the league points short. So that was our tournament over.
Yeah.
So you came
somewhere at the bottom.
Somewhere towards the bottom, and I came 4th.
I think it was like 18th or something. It was awful.
Another good East Grinstead tournament for me.
Yeah.
Continues to be one of my favourite tournaments.
Another flop for me with the 750 point limit.
But very, very good for GBHL Damien.
Yeah. Good,
you know.
good for Damien again.
Good for Damien.
Again.
And we should point out that this is a perfect opportunity to say a massive, massive thank you to GBHL Damien for allowing us both to stay.
Yes.
For being a great host.
Cooking us dinner. Well, for Emma for cooking us dinner.
Well, we had a great curry and beers, didn't we, on the Friday night?
We did.
Saturday night, Jurassic Park. You didn't stay up.
No, I was flying.
I watched Jurassic Park with Damien. It was like watching the movie completely afresh.
Yeah.
Like I'd never seen it before.
You forgot some parts.
Sorry?
You forgot some parts at the beginning.
Yeah, I had no memory.
Where they're putting the raptor into the feeding cage.
I have no memory of that.
Kills the black guy. Yeah.
I think I might not have been allowed to watch that when I was
I
younger.
reckon it's too gruesome watching it a bit. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe it was started from that point. I don't know, because I had no memory of it. But then also on the Sunday...
I have no memory of this place.
Yeah. Damien had a special treat for us, didn't he? On Sunday.
You're going to put me on the spot now.
Selwig.
Oh, of course, Selwig, yeah. Well, I didn't think that was a special treat.
Yeah, it was. It was a nice little thing. Do we want to go to Selwig, which is a big wargaming convention thing, which I've never been to anything like that.
Nope, my first time at any sort of convention as well.
And it was at Crystal Palace, and it was absolutely amazing. We saw lots of other games. Damien got an absolute bargain for Helm's Deep.
You got the Helm's Deep resin model for £10.
Me and Jamie walked in, with like looking at every store, and he's like, "Oh, we don't have to stay together. Don't feel like you've got to stay together." And he went straight to Bring and Buy and got the Lord of the Rings bargains. But we got ourselves some Dark Age stuff, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Some Saga stuff.
I got myself some Vikings of the hero, some Heroes of the Dark Age.
And that was part of a system called Valhalla?
Yeah, a system called Valhalla, which I've looked into. The rules seem relatively strong, the support there. The guy's managing it in his free time. He's like an IT developer at work, so he's updating the site in his spare time, and it's got quite a few problems with it at the moment. So once he sorts the rules out, we might have a look at it. But the models are historicals, so we're using them. I'll be using them for Saga.
Yeah. And I got myself some Wargames Foundry Saxons to do that, so you might see some of that on the channel soon. So yeah, that was really, really great, and then we filmed some brilliant content for you guys across the whole weekend, which will be a surprise. So that was our weekend.
Yeah.
And a big special thank you, of course, to Sam Page for, I think the key thing that was the absolute key thing with the Dice Down, which isn't not a great situation, is his communication was brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the downsides that we had at Mansfield, that we suddenly got told 5 minutes remaining, like, oh god. So I think Sam was really aware of the fact that that was a downside to that tournament, so acted on it and made sure he was giving regular calls.
Yeah, very much so, and he did a great job, especially considering that he had to be the ringer himself. Yeah. He had to obviously make sure that everybody was okay, and he had to do the spreadsheet, which you know, that fills me with a bit of hope for the league final.
He still had someone helping him.
Yeah, he did.
Is it Andy? Is his name?
Craig.
Craig.
And that is a demonstration of Jamie's the names. So guys, that was our East Grinstead tournament at Beep 2. And
Best event ever.
I'm looking forward to going to Beep 3.
Best event ever.
Beep, I want it to catch on desperately.
It will not catch on.
So guys, make sure as always that you comment, like, share and subscribe.
Support your Hobbit hobby and follow us on Twitter.
And happy strategy battle gaming, guys.